everyone, and welcome to Call Your Hits, a Storm Riders Airsoft podcast. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Today, I've got Jordan with me, and we're going to catch up a bit with him since we last spoke. I mean, for those of you who didn't listen to some of our other episodes, Jordan is a fairly newcomer to Airsoft, I guess, having played, I think, just about a year, if I remember correctly. And we actually met and got chatting through the Discord, so it's been really great to get his perspective as a new player. So today, we thought we'd catch up, talk about what he's been up to lately, as well as some of his plans for 2022. So Jordan, thanks for being here with us today.
And thanks for having me, Phil.
So listen, man, what's been up since the last time we spoke? I think last we spoke, it was like in the fall sometime, right?
Yeah, I think we definitely spoke before winter time, I believe, because it was before it got like stupid cold around here. Well, for me, stupid cold. I don't have anything to compare up in Canada, but it's pretty chilly here. Like today, it was like 6 degrees, and I don't know what that is in Celsius, but it's 6 degrees Fahrenheit. Pretty chilly down here.
That's below freezing, right? That's
it's 30 degrees below freezing.
Yeah, so that's probably like, I'd say, I don't know, I'm gonna guess like -8 or something. So I mean, it's warmer than here. It's colder than here, I should say. Here today was like +7 degrees, so I think that's like 40 or 50, something like that for you guys. And
50.
Raining. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Raining stinks, but like 50 degrees, that would be so nice. I'd want to go out and play on the weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
If it was 50 degrees right now, but. Yeah, so last time we talked before wintertime, I think it was right before I was going away to one of my milsims at the field with the guys.
Yep.
That milsim went great. We won, which was the first time. So we were the militia faction, and it was the first time that NATO had lost that in like 3 years, and they lost to us as militia. So NATO was pretty salty about that. We'll take that win, and I don't know if we're going to come back as militia again. But
they're not going to want you back.
I like how we were able to do that, and I made a lot of good friends. You know, people. It's my home field that we did the milsim at, so you know, just meeting people that I really haven't met before. I've only met them in like passing, but having to like work together with them for like a whole day out in the cold, hiking up and down this hill. We went up Summit, which is like an 800 foot. It's not like a huge climb, but it's like significant.
Was this at Feel Good Farms?
Yep, at Feel Good Farms. So it's like an 800 foot summit at the very top. I think it's like 856 or something like that. And we went up and down that like 6 times that day. It was rough. I mean me, or myself, Matt, and Kyle were the only ones from my team that were able to make it to that. But we ended up capturing uranium with the help of some scientists, and that pretty much was like the thing that sealed us the win over every other faction. So like we had that extra piece of material that nobody else had, and it was a big accomplishment. You know, it felt nice because we were the underdogs. We were outnumbered severely. NATO and Rust 4 teamed up against us to try to beat us. And it was pretty satisfying to like see them try to hike all the way up the back of the mountain, like sneaking up the whole way just for one of them to get spotted, and then all of us to like spider out and totally surround them. And then like their 45-minute flank that they just went on, they have to walk all the way back down to spawn. You know, that sucks.
Yeah, that does suck. So how many people were playing at that event?
So I'd like to say it was like at least 20-ish or 25-ish Rust 4 guys. There was 11 militia, and then NATO was only like 12, I think. A lot of NATO didn't show up that day. They just like didn't show up. We were expecting to be outnumbered by each team, like by 2. You know, they were supposed to have like double our numbers on both sides. And we were still outnumbered, but we had the height advantage. We got to climb the summit first because we were the natural militia. We were like the native people of the area. So we were supposed to be defending like a downed plane, which was a downed plane on the side of the mountain that they moved up there like the week before. So that was pretty freaking cool. Like an actual plane like halfway up the summit. And we did have the high ground to begin with, so like they had to fight uphill, and that sucks on that
Yeah.
area. It's steep, so we definitely had the advantage, but we should have gotten overwhelmed. We should have gotten like outnumbered and pushed, and we held it. And I'm super proud of the guys. And it was one of those moments where it's like, yeah, it's airsoft. Like, who cares if you win? But it really was nice to win that game.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you say that because like I remember like playing up at Redcliff, we had a pretty steep climb every time we went, and we'd start the day by, going up this climb. And we've said this before on the podcast, like not everyone who plays airsoft is, very physically fit necessarily, right? This is something we do for fun. It's not like a career or whatever. And like for real soldiers, physical fitness is a part of your regimen, let's say, right? And it still sucks going uphill.
Oh yeah.
So for people who are just doing this casually, like if you're having to go up and down this hill all day long, like that's I mean, even when we were talking to Sam about the milsim that he was at, if you remember, this is several months ago now, but same sort of deal. Like you're constantly fighting your way up this hill, and you get shot when you get like to the top. Like that's brutal.
Yeah, it sucked. I mean, for us, it was difficult because when we died, if we were fighting down the hill, we had to hike back up the hill to
Yeah.
respawn. So it was like they didn't want to die coming up the hill because they had to come all the way back down and then come back up again. But if we died, we had to hike all the way back up. It was like a struggle of who could hold like the middle ground of the hill.
Hmm.
But it's so difficult once you get up there because the rest of the field is all built up. And Summit is like a big trail that clears up the middle, and then there's woods on like either side, but it's not built up. It's a lot of like skinny trees, and it was almost wintertime, so there was actually, I mean, it was pretty much wintertime. It was the middle of November, so there was not any like brush and like shrubbery. It was just all like skinny trees with no greens and anything like that. So
Yeah.
those guys had a tough time, once they got up there to fight us off. But yeah, we give one of the guys on our team, Matt, a hard time, and not even a hard time. Like we're jealous of Matt because he, I'm not exactly. I think he's in. I'm not totally sure what branch of the service that he's in, but he's part of the service, and he is pretty physically fit. So he like goes on rucks and he carries heavy shit, and that's pretty much what he says. He's like, yeah, I pretty much will, once a year or a couple times a year go and carry heavy shit, and like that's my job. That's like what we're doing right now while they're training.
Yeah.
And whenever I'm playing with Matt, he always is like in front, like leading the pack when it comes to like going up somewhere or carrying heavy shit. Like Matt is always the one that's grabbing stuff, to the point where every time there's like a heavy thing that needs to be carried, like we just look at Matt and he's like, yeah, okay. And he just grabs it and he just starts carrying it. One of our milsims that we did last summer, he actually carried me and Will's full rucks in both hands while we were moving to a position, because he said, well, instead of two of you guys not being able to fight and it's only one of us, he said, why don't I just carry all the shit so that at least you guys can both fight? So like Matt's been muling us, muling our gear for a long time, but he is always like pushing me to go up the hill. I remember one time he told me, just keep lifting your legs, just keep lifting and putting your legs down and you'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
And yeah, it sucks, but the first time he ever said that to me, I was like, wow, that's totally true. Like it's gonna suck every time I lift my legs, but I'm gonna get there if I keep doing it. And
Yeah.
sure enough, he's never left me behind. Like he'll wait up for me when we need it, anybody that needs it. But yeah, physically challenging milsims, especially on terrain that's very elevated, it adds a whole different level than just a regular airsoft.
Well, yeah, and I think what's interesting about this, and you're sort of touching on it, but it like when you are physically in pain and under duress, like that is not a fake emotion. That is not a simulation or a simulated emotion. You're actually feeling that, right? So if you are exhausted and your natural response to being exhausted is I quit, right? Then you're just going to quit. It doesn't matter if it's airsoft, or it doesn't matter if you're, helping someone out on their property, like chopping wood or lifting rocks or doing whatever. If you reach that breaking point, doesn't matter what you're doing, you're just like, all right, I'm done. And I think for a lot of guys who are in the service, they teach you and they really ingrain that no quit attitude, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
And it's just this mental game. And again, like I talked about running in the last podcast, but it's the same thing with me when I'm running. Like I'll be out and sometimes I'm like, oh, dude, you are so lazy. You got to stop. Just walk. And sometimes I can talk myself out of that. Most of the time, I'd say I can talk myself out of it, but not always. It's all in your head because like Matt was just saying to you, you lift your legs and put them back down. Eventually, you'll get there. Right?
Yeah, and it's gonna suck every single step of the way, but you will get there. And that was like one of the first things that I ever learned by playing with him, because we would always go on like long flanks, and those are flanks that you're going in places that people don't want to be going, so they're probably not going to be looking to begin with. So like we were always out in the middle of not wanting to be theireville. So I got really used to having to keep up with the guys on the team. Airsoft has been like a fitness thing for me. I wasn't super active for quite a while since I stopped playing hockey back in high school, and then working, somewhat sedimentary jobs and stuff like that, and not keeping up with my fitness. It was a huge kick in the ass when I first got out on the field. First time ever playing Airsoft. I'm a lot better now than I was, a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still, every single time you get out there, you look at that hill, or you look at that flank, or you look at that next gap that you have to close, and you're like, man, am I gonna be able to do this? But if you just do it, you'll get there. Like,
yeah,
you just can't stop.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, like there are limits. Obviously, if you're going to go into cardiac arrest, like we're not saying you should just keep pushing on, obviously.
Yeah.
But especially for what we're doing in Airsoft, as long as you don't sort of quit on yourself, you'll get to where you need to go. But there also is this the advantage of taking the time to train and like work on your fitness a little bit can make a really big difference, because again, the people who are hitting the field don't necessarily have that advantage. Yeah, you have people who are really fit, ready to go, all this kind of stuff, but you also have a huge swath of the Airsoft population, just like it's just like a cross section of our regular population, who are not physically as healthy as they might need to be. And what that means is, if you are, then you're already at least just one or two steps ahead of other people, because when you get to the top of the hill wearing your ruck, you can still fight and they can't. That's an advantage, right?
Oh yeah, that was like the main thing that I learned when I first came in, because when I first came into Airsoft and I played at Feel Good Farms, I had played on relatively flat fields, the first 3 times that I played, and I came to Feel Good Farms and it was like not flat at all. Like you'd be hard pressed to find a flat area to play in, and that's what makes it so good, is because you can use that natural elevation and cover, to flank around and hide and stuff like that. But a lot of the people that go there, you see a lot of people take the path of least resistance on the Airsoft field, and there it's not really a good thing, because it's not everything's built up. The field is built around you using the elevation to mask your movement, and you can't just take the straight beeline all the time, because a lot of times it's just open area. There's nothing there for you if you just go straight at the place. So it's been an experience. I'll say that. And just so I don't forget, I've now remembered, I definitely think Matt is part of the National Guard.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure he's part of the National Guard. So Matt, don't kill me when you hear this, because I should have totally known before. But yeah, National Guard.
Fair enough. Which I think is like the reserves in Canada. It's like a part-time job as opposed to full-time. Is that roughly correct?
I'm not super sure on exact specifics, but I know that he is supposed to be like with his crew that is actually deployed. I think he came in late, but they are ready to be activated at any time. So I remember during one of the hurricanes that we had here at a milsim that we were in Jamaica, Vermont, and one of our guys got activated the week before we went into the milsim. So like our main squad leader had to go, and Matt had volunteered for that too. So like he was hoping that we weren't going to be on the field and he was just going to get a phone call and like have to go assist, because we were like in the middle of fucking nowhere, Jamaica, Vermont, on the top of a mountain fire base. And that was pretty cool too. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the equivalent of that. I think they do like yearly drill and they do monthly training and stuff like that. So I'm not totally sure, but
cool. So listen, let's talk a little bit about your Airsoft kit. I know before we were shooting the episode, you were showing me that Tasmanian tiger rig you just picked up. You've been spending money like it's going out of style. Uh, but
Don't say that, Phil.
let's talk a little bit about, because I know, so when you first started playing, I think we talked about how you'd done a lot of ready ups. You came to the field with like an M4 good to go. Now you've moved on to different types of platforms, including an RPK, right? You just talked about it a little while earlier. So let's talk a little bit about that. How did you get into the Rust 4 kit, and then as well like the LMG world?
So my first step into the Rust 4 kit was my birthday last year. My girlfriend had got me I essentially wanted a gun that I could lend as like a backup to some friends, because I want people to come and play all the time. I wanted them to not have to rent a gun, because it's expensive to rent and pay for field fee if you're just coming for your first time ever.
Totally.
So I wanted to have something just to throw their way. So she bought me a Cyma AK-74U, like a shortened AK. And that was like my first step into Rust 4 stuff. And of course, I didn't leave it stock. So that reliable pass on to my friend gun, who I've only talked to a couple times, is no longer that. And it's a gun that I don't really want to hand out to people anymore. Also, it's currently not working. So we won't get into that, because I need to crack open the gearbox again. But that was like the first step into it. After that, I met Jeff, one of my teammates, and he was always rocking something Russian. And I was looking at his gear, and we were always just talking about stuff. And as I was looking at his stuff, I realized that I kind of liked the different look that a lot of Russian players had. Like, there's the stereotypical Russians that will wear like multicam and be like the special forces, FSB. They look like NATO, but a little bit different. And then there's the Russians that look like, they're wearing totally different camo. It's just a different look. One thing I noticed about a lot of Russian gear is, with the exception of like some of their more special forces stuff, it seems not as high speed as like a lot of NATO kit. Which leads me into the Tasmanian tiger rig that I got, which is definitely not super high speed, but super utility based, and it can hold a ton of shit. And for the record, Phil, that was funded through Christmas money that was given to me, and also from selling some kit. So I actually didn't pay any money for that.
Noted.
Yeah, that was a gift, essentially. I paid for it with some gift money. But yes, it is definitely real stuff that I just bought, and I can tell the difference. It's definitely not going to make me a better player by any means, but I do think it's going to make my life a little bit easier when it comes to being able to manage all of the gear that I need to carry for longer days of play, which isn't for everybody. Not everybody has to do that. I know you guys don't really have many milsims up in Newfoundland, Island, Canada, but here we have a good amount that I want to go to this year with my friends. We have them all up the Northeast coast here in the United States, and we have a lot around us, at least like 3 or 4 that are in our general vicinity that we want to go to this year. And I'm just always looking for something to improve my quality of life when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah, totally. And I think that's a great point. Like you said, it's not going to make you a better player. No, but it will make you a more comfortable player, which in turn can kind of make you a better player, because like we were saying before, you're not getting fatigued, you're comfortable, you're in a good spirits because your gear fits right, and it doesn't chafe you in weird places, or it doesn't pinch, or even we were talking, like you were showing me like the shoulder straps are nice and thick. They're not just these thin little straps. So they're not going to dig into your neck and make that uncomfortable. Like, like you're right. Like we don't have a whole lot of milsim games in Newfoundland. I've hosted many games where I've worn like my plate carrier all day long, like from 9 a.m. to like, let's say 5 or 6 p.m. And after a while, like you're like, man, this is not super comfortable, right? This does not feel very good. But when you put on a real piece of kit that is meant to be worn by people who are going to do that as a job, not in all cases, there's low quality real steel kit, just like there is good quality stuff. But when you find a good quality piece of kit, you really feel the difference from a quality of life standpoint, no question.
Yeah, and I haven't used it at all. Like I literally got it today, and I was just fitting it and trying to get everything to work. But I definitely see it being one of my main things to go to now, especially if it's not like I don't need to carry a ton of mags that need to be at the ready. Like that, I can hold a radio, I can hold water bottles on both sides, I can hold snacks, I can probably break down an MRE, hold them in the side wings.
Mhm.
The front chest has like a flip up molly that is actually meant to hold a plate if I needed to put a plate in it for whatever reason, which I'm not going to do. But that's just more molly real estate. So if I needed to put on, like a map pouch or like a dead rag attached to there, I could do that. There's the front of it, it's all covered in molly. The entire thing is molly. So on the outsides of the pouches, if I needed to put, a pistol mag pouch or like one fast mag, if I needed like a fast mag ready to go, or if I needed anything, I don't see myself throwing anything on there right now. Like it's got so much room for what I need that I don't see that. But it just seems so, it seems so right for what I want it to be. And I wanted to transition more into lighter kits. I had the plate carrier, I still have it. It looks cool. I still prefer the look of the plate carrier over my chest rigs. Maybe not this chest rig because this chest rig's like freaking awesome. But like the chest rigs definitely, in my opinion, I don't think they look as cool high speed like Super Operator E. But you get that added comfort. And if you're hiking up around hills and you're running around in the summertime, you don't need that. And I've gotten shot plenty of times in the chest now, and I understand, not wearing a plate carrier, it sucks sometimes, but I get shot in the belly and the stomach so much more than I get shot in the upper chest
Totally.
that the plate carrier wouldn't help me with to begin with. So,
Yeah, like hands get shot all the time, forearms get shot all the time, helmet, face all the time, because that's what you're exposing. Like 9 times out of 10, you're coming out of cover. What are you exposing? You're exposing your fire control hand, your elbow, your bicep, like coming out, your shoulder. Like how many times do you take a straight for like when I wore a plate carrier? Like how many times did I take a straight out shot to the chest? Like never. Like it never happens, right?
I could probably count on like one hand the amount of times I've taken a dead-on shot to the chest. And it's never been when I've been like moving out in the open either. It's when somebody has totally caught me off guard and they like came from an angle that I was not ready for. But outside of that, it's always like my side or my arm, my leg. I get shot in the in the helmet all the time. I'm not going to talk about getting shot in the face because I've luckily avoided most painful face shots. But like that's always what I'm exposing. The right side of my body or the left side of my body, just pretty much my arm and my face.
It's interesting because I remember what it was like when I ditched my plate carrier because I had used it for so long. I mean, I wore a plate carrier from 2006 when I started till like basically last year, the year before last, right? So that's a really long time. It's like 14 years. I remember being like, oh my God, I'm gonna get shot in the chest. I don't like not having the protection, all that kind of stuff. And really, at the end of the day, like you were saying, like, yeah, it looks cool. That's great. That doesn't win games, right? That doesn't help me win games. Like sometimes it can if you're in a situation where you're going in somewhere and it gives you a little bit of extra confidence. 9 times out of 10, it's really not doing anything for you, right?
Yeah, I still don't have confidence when I'm going into a place where I think I'm going to get shot from like 5 feet away. It doesn't matter if I'm wearing a plate carrier or full suit of armor or whatever.
Yeah,
if I'm going into a place that it's like, oh, I might get shot at field limit from somebody a foot away from me, I'm always like, this is gonna suck, but I gotta go. Just do it, type of thing.
Yeah, and I mean, there's nothing you can do to make that better. Like it's always just because it's nerve wracking. You getting shot from up close, like it really smarts, like, and especially if it's in an exposed area. Like you were saying, I know you wear Face Pro. I'm only getting now into the world of potentially getting into the world of Face Pro. I haven't had a chance to use my Delta mics yet, but like I've been shot in the face from really close. I know some people who've lost teeth and stuff, and like that's always plays in the back of your mind. You're wearing a plate carrier is not going to change. It is not going to change that. Yeah.
The way that I look at it, I wear Face Pro to the point of like covering my nose and my mouth. My cheeks and chin and stuff are still fully exposed. So like I take that risk. For me, hurty shots are nothing compared to money. Like money getting shot out of my face. If I lose a tooth or like something, I don't know. Like I don't know if I would really like have an injury so bad to my nose that I'd have to pay money for it, but like something about getting shot right in the very tip of your nose, like that video that Chaz posted where he shot the guy and it just destroyed him. Something with that doesn't sit right with me.
Yeah, Pat got shot in the nose and it almost got stuck in there. That was not a great day. He came off the field, he had a bloody nose, and he was not he was, livid as you would expect, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean,
But that was his fault, right?
well,
For
I
not
mean,
wearing face pro.
well, in this particular case, it wouldn't have happened if he'd been wearing phase bro, but it also wouldn't have happened if the gun that the guy had been using was under field limits, which it was not.
Oh,
So yeah, but
you're
anyways,
shooting hot.
that's a story for
Yeah.
another day. But yeah, like that's what it is. So tell me about this LMG business though, because seems like, anyways, yeah, you just get into it because
Okay. Yeah. So for Christmas, my parents and my girlfriend chipped in to buy me a LCT RPK 16, which is essentially the modernization of the AK 74 RPK, the 74 based RPK, the 545 one. So as it's gotten newer and newer, the RPKs and really a lot of LMGs have gotten much shorter to almost carbine length, rifle sized guns. So this RPK 16 that I have, super heavy, but not super long. I think it's got like the same like max length as like a full AK-74.
okay,
So it's not very long, which means it's super maneuverable if you discount the weight that is added by having a 2,000 round box magazine filled with 3.2s and a full steel gun. Because LCT, I don't remember who the Storm Rider is that has an LCT. Is it Steph that has
yeah,
LCT AKs?
yeah,
Yeah. They're heavy. They're very heavy. Compared to my Cyma AK, which is also a steel AK or stamped steel, there's just no comparison when it comes to the weight of what you feel. And I thought my Cyma AK was heavy compared to my M4, which is significantly longer than my Cyma AK. It was, it was heavier than my M4, but I picked up that RPK and it was like, it has to be at least 15 pounds fully loaded with like all of the BBs in there. And it's a lot. It's a lot to heft around, but oh my God, has it improved my airsoft enjoyment by like 3 times.
how did
I've only played with it 1 time.
how does that happen?
Yeah. Well, so I've always been a semi-auto player.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always had a bit of envy for the people that could full auto suppress the shit out of me. And I never had like anything to really fight it. And I always wanted to peek back and fight the LMG, but it's just not a good idea when they're throwing down 10 shots for every one that you can throw their way, So switching into this role for me, because I've always been like an on the outskirts player, getting up where I need to be and stuff like that has always been on my mind, but I've always kind of been like a stay on the outskirts, flank around type of guy. The LMG has kind of changed my playstyle in a way that I have to be not, I can't be like way far back, but I'm not normally leading the pack
Right.
because I'm using it to help my teammates move. I'm using it to do suppressive fire, but at the same time, some of the moves I have to make are ridiculously aggressive because if I say, hey, if I make it to that tree over there, I can lay down suppressing fire across this whole lane and my whole team can move up because of it. So it's changed my outlook on the LMG class because I always thought it was just whatever, you're just throwing a bunch of BBs my way, wow, that's fun. And then I did it once and I was like, wow, that's why everybody's having so much fun. They peek me and then they know it's me and then they're like, oh shit, we probably shouldn't do this.
But why couldn't you do that with just a regular AEG? Like, can't you pull your trigger really fast? Can't you just switch it to auto on your AEG?
Well, most fields around me have, and there's some fields that don't follow this rule, but most fields around me have a limit on what weapons can use full auto all the time. For reference, at my field at Fieldgood Farms, for the majority of the time, unless the marshal says it's a full auto day and everybody can use full auto, the only people that could use full auto were classes of weapons that were considered to be support weapons.
Okay.
Like RPKs, M249 saws, if anybody had a PKM and stuff like that, those are the weapons that could be designated to use fully automatic fire. And I think that was made so that the weapons that only had full auto or safe, like my saw that I have that is not working, that's a story for a different time. But like that saw that I have that I was trying to build from a boneyard thing, that only has safe and full auto.
Yeah.
There is no semi-auto on that gun. So I think a lot of fields wanted to make it more worth it for people that would be carrying around a heavier gun. You know, they get the advantage of being able to use full auto while carrying a 15, 20-pound gun on the field, you know, the whole day if you have to lug it around. When I go to fields that don't have that, that just have full auto for everybody, and everybody can have like a drum mag on their M4 and then just be a saw, it's kind of like, it's kind of a bummer. You know, it's not that I like use it to be like, wow, you know, I want to be able to do it because nobody else can. But when I'm carrying around super heavy gun and this guy can come in with a all plastic M4 with a 1500 round drum mag and do the same thing as me, you know, kind of tickles me the wrong way. But to each their own, if that's what they want to do, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean that's interesting because that's never something we've really had the luxury, I guess, of being able to do. Because for us, like when we're trying to bring people in and like the community is much smaller, and we talked about this before, but like one of the things that gets people to play, it's like, hey, you're some kid, you got a rental gun or whatever, switch it to full auto and start spraying, and you're like, yeah, oh my god, this is awesome, I want to keep doing it, right? And so we've never had a community where if only the support airsoft guns could shoot full auto. Like if your gun has full auto, you can use it unless, you know, like we've said before, like we have a village field and that's 2 CQC for full auto because we don't want people getting overshot and stuff. Fair enough. But so it's interesting to me because that's the dynamic that we have. So I'm like, I don't see the need for you know, like an LG, because plus I've got the the MOSFET in my gun, and so my trigger response is very high, so I can shoot on semi-auto, not necessarily as fast, obviously, as like an LMG, but really friggin' fast. And so it's like, yeah. So when you're saying I'm peeking out of cover, they can fire 10 rounds for every one. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I could squeeze like 2 or 3, like for your 10.
Yeah.
But that's a fair point.
Yeah, that was like the main thing. I wanted to have a weapon that classified as a, you know, one that could be a support weapon, and it's a different class. You know, I'm sure at some point I'll have an SMG that is shooting like under 1 joule and I can full auto at any distance, and I'm sure at some point I'll have a bolt action. I don't know how that will go, but I'm sure at some point I'm going to try it just to see if I enjoy it. But this is just like another step into a different class for me. And on our team we have a saw. Matt has a saw that it's not currently working right now. We're trying to figure out what's going on with the electronics, but it's nice to have, you know, within your group of people, if you have 5 people moving, it's nice to have like a dedicated support gunner that can actually, you know, he knows what he's doing with his teammates. Yeah. So if I know like Matt wants to push up, or I know Will wants to flank behind, like I know where he wants to go, and it's not just me shooting a bunch of ammo for random players on the field that aren't actually going to use it, you know, to their advantage. Totally. So that, and it's just funny to be able to, you know, lean out of cover or be holding a position, and people will hear the shots coming towards them because they'll hear like rapid fire impacting around them, and then they just won't peek. Like they'll be like, yeah, we should go a different way. And at that point, you know, you haven't killed them, but you've done your job. You know, I feel a lot more accomplished not getting kills sometimes, even though I'm getting tons of kills with this thing. Like it's doing a lot of the work for me, I think, just by being full auto. But sometimes being out there, it's like, wow, I'm literally holding down this one angle that 4 people cannot push now. Now they have to go somewhere else, and the rest of my team is over there. So it's just a different class. I'm loving it. I've only used it for 1 game, but I'm dying to get back out and play with it again. But that has not been without its downfalls that I've been dealing with since I got the gun. There's been multiple issues. Evike actually has not. I had put in a support request to them because my girlfriend bought it way early, like in November, like towards the beginning of November, because it was Black Friday was coming up soon. We were afraid it was going to sell out, so she got it early, which kind of made it like in a gray area for the warranty. They had like an extended warranty period, but like when I emailed them, I was like right at the end of like my 45-day warranty, and they never answered. So I'm sitting here with this gun with really problems that I can fix, but like things that I shouldn't have to deal with. Like I shouldn't have to hammer in the outer barrel to get it to fit into the gun. I get LCT has super tight tolerances, but I should not have to
Yeah.
wail on that thing to get it to fit into the outer barrel like housing on the gun. Um, Other things like it was a very expensive gun, and right after my girlfriend bought it, the price went down. So like that sucks. But they also did not include. I get they have to add a orange tip to it, but they didn't include the actual RPK 16 muzzle device in the box, and instead they sell it separately on the website for like $40. So it's I was kind of salty about that. I There was just a bunch of things with it that was like, why am I dealing with this on a gun that costs this much money?
Yeah.
Um, and not that I'm done dealing with it. I'm sure I'm not. I just got it together behind me and I groaned it today, and it's shooting at like 1.5, 1.6, which I'm totally happy with for an LMG. But
Yeah, I'd say.
yeah, this gun has caused me so much undue stress for the one time I've used it, that it at a point it was actually making me not want to play because of like, wow, I just got this new gun. I'm not doing anything I'm really not supposed to be doing to it. Why is it like breaking? Every single time I do something, like I put it back together, it's not going back together properly. I'm putting it back together the same way, and now it's not fitting. Like it's not coming apart. It's been a nightmare so far.
The joys of airsoft teching, right?
Yeah.
For every ounce of pleasure, an ounce of pain.
So much pain, but it's negated by when I get out in the field and I have a great time with it.
Yeah.
But I'm just itching to get out and use it again because I've got it working the way that I want it to. I have a nice barrel in there. The hop up that they gave me, LCTs come with plastic hop ups. And AK hop ups have a slider instead of like a rotary style like most M4s do. So that under heavy fire, as you can assume an LMG would be doing, that slider can move forward and like lose hop. The gun itself has like almost zero battery space, like for a saw or like an LMG where you want a lot of power in there. There's like space for like 1,000 milliamp hour batteries. So like I just have like five of them that I'm like gonna carry a couple on me at a time. But changing the battery is a bitch. The dust cover comes out with a pin instead of like a hinge, like my AK-74 does. I get it, realism, stuff like that. But man, if you're gonna make an RPK or something that's supposed to be shooting full auto, you should have necessary battery space in there to be able to keep doing it. I love it, man. It's just been a lot of stress, way too much stress for what I wanted to do. But I'm just going to be happy when it's working.
Yeah, when you get back out there, I'm sure like you said, you'll forget about all that and just have a good time. So listen, last up, why don't you tell us a little bit about what's your plan for this year? Like, what are some of your goals? You mentioned like hitting some mil sims, obviously with your team. Shout out to the operators. Like, that sounds like it's going to be a time. But aside from that, like, what are some of the things that you're looking to do this year for Airsoft?
So specifically this year, I don't really have like a necessary goal. I definitely want to use Airsoft more as like a fitness tool for myself. In general, I want to get, more into shape. Especially with like the summer coming up. It's January now, but 4 months away, 5 months away, it's going to be pretty nice soon. So, I want to get back out there and I want to, be playing with all my friends and all my teammates and stuff. One of my guys just came back from a job that he was doing. He was driving a truck like across the country, and he went back to his other job that he was doing. So we lost him for like 2 months. Like we couldn't play with him because he was always traveling. So glad to have you back, Will. Looking forward to playing with you some more. But I'm really just looking forward to growing with the sport, because in I think it's like May this year. In May this year, it will be a year of me playing. So, over time, I've seen a bunch of different things. I've tried a bunch of different stuff. Gear, I'm totally different than when I first started. I'm still wearing a helmet. That's no different. I think I'm always going to be wearing a helmet because
and face pro.
Like, yep. Always something to protect my face and my teeth. But I'm trying different things. I have my eye on, different types of camo, making my own, wearing whatever I want on the field. I'm looking forward to playing a lot of dress up this year. Um, just trying out different things. I know that a couple of my guys want to hit up a couple of the mill sims on the East Coast that are being hosted by, I believe it's the Stag Ops guys for our area, and I'm excited to be able to go out there to some new fields because a lot of them are held at the same fields, but I didn't get to go to them last year, so it'll be like a new experience for me.
Right.
I'm really excited to get out there and do that. For Christmas, I got some outdoorsy stuff. You know, I got a nice sleeping bag. I got um, a jet boil and stuff, so I can like cook food on the go because I was always kind of like relying on one of my teammates who had a jet boil, which was totally fine. But when there's like three guys that are trying to use one jet boil and you have like a little metal tin cup to fill water, it's going to take a while for you to cook food.
Yeah.
But so I got my own. I'm super happy with that. I'm learning more about staying warm. I'm actually learning a lot more about that. You know, I never really understood layering. As it's gotten colder, I've gotten away with wearing some pretty stupid stuff and still staying warm just because I stay warm all the time for no particular reason. But now that it's getting to like cold, like actually cold, you know, looking into winter gear and trying not to spend a lot of money and shit like that is really difficult when it's like, well, do I need this? Do I actually need this? Is this going to help me? And then it's like, no, but it'll make you comfy out there, or you know, you'll stay warm. Your hands won't freeze. I need to get some glove liners. I know that you had talked about those, Phil, in a long
Yep.
time ago. Old video about playing in the air. Maybe it wasn't that long ago, but it was playing airsoft in the wintertime. My hands were freezing the last time I was out there playing. So I definitely want to get some nice thin glove liners, be able to play with that. But more so, I'm just looking to experience whatever is coming at us this year and not go into it with any preconceived notions on like, this is what I want airsoft to be. You know,
Hmm.
I am still new. I'm playing with a bunch of guys who are not new. So it's, you know, I have the experience vicariously through them. You know, I don't feel like I'm a new guy out in the field. I've made a lot of friends at the field. You know, they're like family to me. It's this year is more so just like, what is airsoft going to be, and not what do I want it to be. You know, I'm just looking forward to whatever events going on, trying out different fields. Indoor airsoft is something that I want to try out. The guys are trying to plan a trip to go down to Rhode Island for a weekend because there's some indoor fields in Rhode Island that we've never really played indoor CQB except for Jeff. Jeff is like an indoor CQB fiend, like with a paintball mask and everything, like super speed soft, but wearing Russian kit, stuff like that. But the rest of us on the team have never really done CQB, and
Okay.
I'm looking forward to trying that, but not just to. I was actually thinking about this a bit. If I go into like a CQB field, I don't want to bring a gun that I wouldn't be using out on the field normally. So like my guns that I have are not super short besides my AK-74.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't want to like I kind of want to go onto a CQB field running my RPK in like semi-auto so I can learn how to maneuver around corners and stuff with a longer weapon. You know,
Yeah.
breaking it off the shoulder and, you know, just learning how to maneuver with it. I feel like it's going to be super important because I'm going to be doing that at other fields. You
Yeah.
know, if I'm not going to always have a pistol on me or a small weapon. So if I'm going to use this RPK, I need to learn how to use it
For
in
sure.
all aspects. Um,
That's a good perspective. I think it's like it's almost like you're not having a crutch, like you're going in on hard mode. So when you do it normally, then it's easier almost, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of the people that you'll see at the indoor fields, and I've gone to some CQB outdoor fields that I've played at before, and a lot of those guys are running like super short guns or like guns that are almost paintball guns. Like they have like the tank coming off the bottom of the pistol grip, and they hold it up into their shoulder, and they're like looking over the top of the Picatinny rails like they're playing paintball. And those things are super, super duper short, and I've never
Yep.
had the urge to want to build something like that. Like I've never wanted like the speed QB super CQB gun, you know. So I feel like for my playstyle and for what I want to do, which is mostly milsim and outdoor events, you know, I need to learn how to room clear, but I need to learn how to do it with the gear I'm going to be using. So going in there with like a pistol only or with an SMG or something that I have to borrow, it's not going to do me any good.
Yeah, it might be fun for a couple of games, but ultimately, like your biggest learning is going to be with your own kid, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Absolute last question for you now. Thinking back to 2021 and like that whole year, or like let's say 2/3 of the year for you, when were you happiest when you were playing Airsoft?
When was I happiest? I was definitely the happiest ever when I had all of the guys together. And this was actually not even, I mean, this is kind of cheating the question, I guess. The best time that I had so far was camping overnight with the guys just before a skirmish. We just went to the field early and we just, we outdoored. We had tents and, we cooked, over a fire and stuff like that. We did it all at the airsoft field for no good particular reason. We just wanted to get there and hang out. I think the best time that I've ever had in airsoft, just relating to airsoft in general, is hanging out with all of my teammates, all of the friends that I've made along the way, whether or not it's my immediate teammates or all of the people at the field that now know who I am. And, they approach me and we chat and, talking to the marshal. I think my best time playing airsoft was not playing airsoft. I think my best time playing airsoft was just being with the community, being with everybody there. I'm a very social person. I work from home, so I don't get to get out and be social all the time. So when I get to go to the field and I see the same guys every week and, we're chatting about new stuff that we got or new stuff that we're trying, or, hey, look at the schedule for this year. Are you going to be going to this mil sim? You guys want to try this one? It's like, I don't know. It's kind of like, not that I'd never had, like close friends, like family, but I never had a lot of people that enjoyed the same thing other than like playing video games, but I didn't meet a lot of those people. So this is like the first time like that I've had big groups of friends that we can all just show up, do our own thing, but be super happy about it.
Yep.
And, go there supporting each other. That's the one thing I learned about the airsoft community is like everybody's there to help. Like, oh, hey, something broke. Hey, here's a mag. Oh, you're out of ammo. Here's a mag. Like, you need something on the field. Like, whatever. Like, let's go do it.
Yep.
If our gun goes down, our friends are sitting out around to help us out with our gear and stuff. It's like playing airsoft has made me not feel like I was alone out there ever. It, honestly, for me last year after COVID, and it's still going on, stupid COVID, stupid
Yeah.
stuff, hate that. I don't know why it's still going. I think it's because people are idiots, but that's story for another point.
Yeah.
But during that year when it was like not getting out, not doing anything, being able to go outside, being able to hang out with groups of people, chat about life and everything else in between, while all still being out there to play a game of grown-up tag with fake guns in the woods. I don't really think I could have asked for anything more. It's been a wild ride, meeting everybody, all the stuff I learned with teching. Screw that. I hate teching, but I'll keep doing it because I have
Yeah.
to. It's like a necessary evil of airsoft. It's like you got to do it. But meeting the Storm Riders guys, being able to chat with you, Phil, the community that we've built in the Discord, the one that is around the Storm Riders, it is amazing. I never feel like it's boring going in there. There's always people to chat with. I'm trying to think of Onion Sipuli. Is that how you say his name? Sipuli?
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that, dude. You have some awesome taste in like kits and stuff, and we just chat about. He'll just send me Discord messages of like, "Hey, here's this new impression kit Discord. I'm sure you would like this," and we just start chatting about like, "Oh my god, look at this belt setup," stupid stuff like that. That it's like, wow, I don't think I'm ever going to really need this, but like having somebody else there that can just shoot the shit with it, and just be like, "Oh wow, look at this." Literally just a belt set. It's just a Russian belt setup. And I'm like, wow, that is beautiful. Like I can't just go do that with anybody. So
Yeah.
having a community of people around that understand that it's totally cool to be nerdy warp, just liking kit for no reason, just because we think it's cool, has really brought out like a more social side of me. And I see a lot out there that I'm really happy to see. So, I think my favorite time playing airsoft this year was not playing airsoft. It was the community. It was chatting with everybody new, talking with you guys in the Discord, meeting new people at the field, and meeting my teammates who are now, like my best friends. I can't really ask for more than that. So Sorry, I
Well,
kind of cheated your question, but
no, but listen, that's a great answer, and I'm wishing you a whole lot of that and more in 2022. That's for sure. Jordan, thanks so much for joining us. It's always great to catch up with you. And guys, if you want to join the conversation, hit us up on Discord. The link is in the description. And until next time, that's all we got for you. Take care.